Well, welcome to Old and Outlandish, This Life's Journey. My name's Tim Norris, and my wife Heidi and our little dog Toby make up Old and Outlandish. Hopefully we're not all that old, hopefully we're not all that outlandish, but we did plan a 7-week, 12,000-mile journey to Alaska and back this year. We picked up our best friend Tara at Calgary Airport, and she accompanied us all the way to Anchorage, Alaska. In this episode, we're going to cover from the entry point into Alaska on the top of the World Highway, all the way to Anchorage and then to Whittier, and then we're going to end up at the Aleyeska Ski Resort. So when we got to the top of the World Highway entry point, you really couldn't see much. It was Davis Dome, and the whole area was fogged in. It was really, really rough. Well, after about 10 miles of crossing the border, we got below the fog, or the fog lifted, I'm not sure which. But we started to be able to see the road again and see where the potholes were so I could try to dodge them. But we had 47 miles of this really pretty rough gravel road. But it just amazed me when we passed that semi-truck delivering fuel. He must have been going up to the border crossing. I just could not imagine driving a semi-truck on this road, especially going 35 or 40 miles an hour. Well, our first stop that we're going to do on this road, actually the only stop we're doing on this road, is at Chicken, Alaska. Well, Chicken has a population of 12, and it's named after the bird called a ptarmigan. But the founders couldn't spell ptarmigan, and it looked a lot like a chicken, so Chicken, Alaska was the chosen name. Now, when you're in Chicken, Alaska, you're not going to find anywhere that has on-grid electric, running water that's on-grid. And just to give you an idea how far away from anything it is, it's 267 miles to the nearest McDonald's. You can see what our truck looked like once we got there. It definitely needed a bath. Well, this is the Chicken Creek Cafe, and it's also attached to the Chicken Creek Saloon, and they have doors that go in between, which are also attached to the Chicken Mercantile Emporium. So I think all 12 of the people that live in Chicken must work at this place. I would have to say the bar was quite unusual. If you notice, there's all kinds of hats, and those are underwear that are attached to the ceiling. So if you're a woman and you want to get the drink called the Panty Cannon, you buy the shot, take the shot, cut your underwear off of your body, and stick it down into a cannon. They shoot it up and tack it to the ceiling. I also liked the Cluck Norris drink that they had. I thought that was pretty interesting. There was an excellent bakery that was there, and then if you had to use the facilities, they had the chicken coop, where you could go out and do anything that you desired. Well, Tara found some chickens to give her a sled ride. And they had a beautiful old dredge there because this was a gold mining area, and this dredge worked the gold mines. So they had a lot of neat statues there and a bunch of signs telling you how far away it was from each different location. After another roughly 60 miles of dirt road, we hit some pavement and we were on our way to Tok, Alaska. We ate lunch at Tok and decided to head on down to our campsite for the night. Even though we were on a highway that was paved, it was still very rough. You can see the truck bouncing up and down every once in a while. This picture doesn't really do us justice, but it was still a pretty rough ride, so we were kind of limited to about 35-40 miles an hour. And the views were absolutely gorgeous. I mean, just mountains everywhere. And then the fireweed was just amazing. I love to see the fireweed and then look out and see the mountains over the... In this picture, we were on the north side of the Wrangell St. Elias National Park, which the Wrangell St. Elias National Park is over 13 million acres, making it larger than the country of Switzerland. Well, not too far down the road, we got a great glimpse of this moose. I stopped the truck, we backed up, tried to get some better pictures, but it was just always just an amazing time when you get to see a moose out in the wild. And there you get a little better close-up of it. She was a good-sized girl. Well, we found this beautiful campsite just outside of Glen Allen that was along a little creek and had a nice fire ring and a picnic table, and it was really nice campground. However, the mosquitoes were so bad we had to wear our mosquito nets on our heads. Didn't seem to bother Toby any. He was just happy and still begging for food as often as he could. They actually had some bathrooms and a nice pathway to get there, and look at that neat tree and all the growths that are on it. Well, the next morning we had a good breakfast of bacon and eggs, and Toby, believe me, was out there begging. And we started to head on our 200 or 180 mile journey, I guess, to Anchorage to set up camp for the day. Well, it was really kind of foggy and you couldn't see a whole lot. But on our way, we heard on the radio that there was a bear mauling. A bear actually mauled a person that was hiking in a park near Anchorage just a few hours earlier. And we decided to think, well, what's the difference between a bear mauling and a bear attack? So at the time we Googled it, and basically we were told that the difference between a mauling and attack was the intentions of the bear. And I thought, really? If either one happens, I don't care what its intentions are. And how are you going to know what the intentions of the bear were anyway? Oh well, who knows? I guess maybe they sit down with the bear afterwards to figure that out. Well, this is your first glimpse of the Matanuska Glacier. The Matanuska Glacier is the largest glacier in the U.S. that is reachable by a vehicle. The glacier itself is 27 miles long and 4 miles wide at its widest point. At first glance, when you look at the glacier, you just think it's the part that looks like snow. But actually, the glacier is both the white and the dark part. Now, the dark part's where the glacier has picked up a lot of debris as it's carved its way down through the mountains and created valleys and picked up all these rocks and boulders. And then as the sun starts to melt the glacier, those rocks are left on top. So even though it looks like it's just a pile of rocks, it's actually ice with rocks inside of it. Well, about 2 hours south, you arrive in Anchorage, Alaska, where we set up our camp at a campsite that was right in town and just a half mile from downtown. Well, Anchorage is actually known as the City of Flowers, and with the amount of daylight that they receive in the summer, the colors are very vibrant. There's a lot of big buildings there, and just like pretty much any other city. And the Cook Inlet splits right at Anchorage, and it splits into the Nick Arm and the Turnagain Arm. And the 49th State Brewing Company sits right at that split, and you can look out from while you're eating up on the upper deck and see both the Turnagain Arm and the Kirk Arm and the Cook Inlet. Very interesting. Well, we stopped at this beautiful spot where there was this beautiful waterfall, and we decided we wanted to hike what they call the Turnagain Arm Trail. And so we started and walking up this trail, and it's very, very beautiful, very lush, very dense, a lot of growth. You'd have weeds rubbing, each side of you as you were going through there, but it was still a pretty well traveled trail. We kept going higher and higher and climbing up the mountain. You can see the railroad tracks down below. And we just were having a great time. Again, you can see the trail is a little narrow, and you're starting to rub some of the fireweed and things like that. But there you can see a good glimpse of the Turnagain Arm, and then that's the Cook Inlet out there where it gets wider. And there you can see our truck down in that parking lot. But there's still plenty of mountainside to go ahead and continue climbing up. Well, we climbed up till we got to an area of rocks that there was a rock slide, and as you stepped on those rocks, they would start to move and slip and slide, and it was pretty much a sheer drop off straight down to the road, and we decided we were going to go ahead and turn back. So I wish we could have made it all the way up to the top, but our skills weren't good enough to get there. So we decided to go ahead and go the other direction on the trail. This trail was a lot wider, a lot more used. Forest was absolutely beautiful. These trees with bare woods underneath it just looked great. And then we saw this bear scat, and I actually put my walking stick in it, and it was fresh. And then about a couple hundred feet more further, we saw some mud and a moose track, and we decided we did not want to get either mauled or attacked by a bear, so we decided to head back down to the pickup truck. But we still had, I think, about a 2-hour walk or hike, and we had a really good time, and we were all glad to get back to the pickup truck. Now, we got along the side of the road, and here came this train. Beautiful, beautiful train. He honked, stuck his arm out the window, waved at us, and we got back in the truck, and we ended up passing the train, and so we honked and waved, and the engineer stuck his arm out again and waved at us and honked again. As you start driving down the highway towards Homer, you just start to get in, seeing the inlet getting smaller and smaller, and you just start to see glacier after glacier after glacier. Just an amazing view. Now this is in July, and there's this much snow and ice still there. Our destination was to get to the city of Whittier, population 272. Now the only way to get to Whittier, it sits about 58 miles southeast of Anchorage, is to go through the Whittier or Portage Tunnel. Now the tunnel is the second longest highway tunnel in North America, and it goes straight through this mountain that we're looking at ahead called the Maynard Mountain. It's over 2.5 miles long. Now I had the speed sped up 3 times on my camera here so that we're not going through the tunnel forever. And then once we get in the tunnel, I speed it up to 6 times. So you're not allowed to go over 25 miles per hour, but this lets you see exactly how long this tunnel is. Just an amazing tunnel, amazing feat that they were able to do this. And if you'll notice, we're actually driving on railroad tracks. So this tunnel is a one-way or one-lane tunnel, and every half hour it is for inbound traffic. The next half hour is for outbound traffic. And if a train comes, the train kind of gets priority. So you're sharing inbound traffic, outbound traffic, and train traffic all through this tunnel. And it just is amazing to me to look at. This is just solid rock, and how long you're actually in this tunnel. And it just seems like it takes forever till you get to the other end. But just an incredible, incredible feat. But once you get to the other end, it's like you're in a whole nother world. This tunnel closes at 10:45, so the last way to get out of the tunnel, the last time to get out is 10:45. And if you don't make it out by 10:45, you're stuck in Whittier for the whole night, because it doesn't open up again until 6:45 in the morning. It just amazes me when you exit the tunnel how it does truly feel like you're in a different world. On the other side of this mountain is the Prince William Sound. So this is a port city, and that's why the railroad goes here. This is the easiest way to get goods from the lower 48 into Alaska. And so as soon as you get out, you start to notice the Prince William Sound over to the left, and then you look at all the mountains on either side. There's waterfalls everywhere. This area actually gets a total of 197 inches of rain a year. That's 197 inches. This is a true rainforest. There's the building, that building that's in the background there, and you can see the big waterfalls up above it, the glaciers melting. But that building houses 89% of the residents in that town. This building here was another Army barracks that was built for the town back during World War II, and that's what this town was made for, was to get goods in and out for World War II. Now there's 272 residents, and I don't know how many boats are here, so there's obviously way more boats than there are residents. So a lot of people will commute from Anchorage to come out here and get their boat. Not exactly why they put them here instead of putting them somewhere in Anchorage, but it definitely gives you access to a totally different part of the ocean. Again, there you can see some of the fireweed. I just love the look of the fireweed. This chain was humongous. I wish it wasn't in that box. I'd love to see it all laid out, but it was just a really big chain. A lot of interesting stores, a lot of shopping. The girls really enjoyed that. And of course, I enjoyed the seafood that we had. Very, very neat place. Again, it's kind of like a world all of its own. You can see I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 waterfalls that I saw there. And then out here you can see several as well. It's just a world that you cannot describe. But the saying is, everything is crappier, only they don't say crappier in Whittier. And it's because it's usually raining. The last time we were here, it was raining. Today, it was just a beautiful day, and we really got to enjoy it. But there you can see one of those waterfalls that I was talking about, and you can just see how far up the mountainside it goes, and that water is just cascading down, just indescribable. God was showing off when he made this place. Look at the glacier just hanging there. It's an unreal world. Well, back to the tunnel, and it was our time to go, but like I said, trains take precedence. So this train went through. We thought, well, as soon as the train goes through, we'll be able to go through. But no, that's not the case. The train had left a bunch of smoke in there, and we had to sit there for about 45 more minutes until it was our turn to go through the tunnel again. They wanted to make sure all the smoke cleared out. Well, on the other side of the tunnel, there's a little pull off you can pull off, and you can see 6 or 7 different glaciers, all from that pull off. Just an amazing thing. Sit back and look and enjoy. Well, you can't drive this close to Aleyeska Ski Resort without stopping. So Aleyeska Ski Resort is a 304-room hotel and resort. It has a spa, several restaurants, and some beautiful grounds that you can walk. It's probably 3 to 4 miles off the main highway, but it's well worth the stop. Last time we were here, we took the tram. We had done that before, so I'm going to put some pictures in of the tram and the top of the mountain later on here, but we walked the grounds and then headed back to Anchorage. However, Aleyeska is known for its steep and deep terrain. It has a 2,500-foot vertical drop on the north edge, and it is America's longest continuous double black diamond in America. So pretty amazing. The summit gets an average of 669 inches of snow per year. That's 56 feet of snow. The record was in 2012 with 81.5 feet of snow. So as you can tell, when you're on top of the mountain, the ski resort just looks so small. And from the top of the mountain, you can see a total of 7 glaciers from up there. Just beautiful. Well, after 2 weeks of all 3 of us living in this very, very small camper, we decided to drop Tara off at the airport. And this was the end of her part of the journey with us. And we're so glad that Toby did not have to sit down with this bear and try to figure out why he killed his mom and dad. Well, we hope you enjoyed this episode of Old and Outlandish, This Life's Journey. It's been our pleasure to take this trip and to be able to share it with you. Hopefully you've enjoyed it, and it'll inspire you to travel to Alaska on your own. Take care until next time. Goodbye.